Don's Manufactory. I'm over at my brother's house in Central Oregon, and I thought I'd show you the underside of his project car. All of this that you see hanging out here, like on the transmission, and oh, we got a little bit of a tranny leak there. So we've got lots of work to do here, but you can see that the car was soda blasted and it has a ton of that blasting material. It's still all over the place under here. Now today's job is to get this header pipe to fit. And hey Jeffy, did you notice you've got a somewhat of a tranny leak?
You know, 100,000 miles. We could have.
Yeah, here, brother Jeffy, he was sporting a Flying Sparks t-shirt earlier. I'll carry you guys along. You can see his handiwork here and all this movie down this way on his welding of his floor pan patch. And
all the leftover soda blast all over. It really made a mess of the automobile when I had that done. It was in and on everything. So it'll come off easy with some water and stuff. But
so you suppose that's a front seal on that there transmission?
oh, up there?
Yeah, down at the bottom of the bell housing.
Could be. What I should probably do is follow Derek's plan and, you know, put in some engine overhaul. Reseal new goop in there and stuff like that.
Rebuild the transmission.
Goop, yeah. Seems to work really good for him, so, you know, why wouldn't it work for us?
Well, that pipe right now, if it was in this same position and that was cut, it would move over and... But let me do this.
Yeah, it would move over.
This is going to move over, which will clear the steering just fine.
But technically, if these are SCJ manifolds, and this is an SCJ header pipe, maybe for a Mustang, it should fit right. The difference on the exhaust manifold should be right. I mean, if they bent the thing right.
Hi, well, there's something here I wanted to show you. This is how things can go wrong under here. Look at the steering link on this car. Now, I don't know if you can notice it, but see the angle of it? Look at the angle difference between the lower control arm and the idler, or not the idler arm, but the tie rods. Notice how they're not on the same plane. So there's no way this car is going to steer properly. And if I were to guess, I would say somebody replaced the idler arm and they put it in upside down. It's supposed to be turned the other way so the arm goes up here, and then this joint would be up in line with the lower control arm. So there's no way this car is going to handle right. The geometry is just way off. And, you know, I'm sensitive to geometry of the front end these days. How to make your car dangerous in one easy step. So we look out here at this parts car, and look at the way the idler arm is put in. See how it goes up instead of down? And that would make the tie rod be at the same angle as the lower control arm. We have to replace the idler arm anyway. Are you getting excited, Jeffy?
Doesn't sound like it's got any gas in it. Oh, it does. Ready?
Okay.
Well, in words of Derek, Derek? Yeah, Derek.
Derek.
Bring the thunder!
Come on, baby.
Ooh, it's got a deep...
Oh, maybe that's now.
something's not right. You sure you got the firing order right?
Yeah. Let's see.
It's got a dead hole in it. And it's backfiring, like there's a couple of wires switched.
Man, it's tight in there.
These darn things, so hard to work on.
What does it go, 7, 8?
Yes. This is 7 and 8 right here. 7, 8. So this is supposed to be 8. So 8 is in the 3rd slot here, but the 4th slot there. And this should be 3 right here. Yep. That's 3.
This one here is second one back, which is...
That's 6.
That's 6. Okay, so that's the second one back.
6, 3, and then 7 and 8.
7 should be... 7's this one, which is the second one in the doodad. That's 7. And then 8 is that
the
one.
last one.
Yep.
Well, how come it's so lumpy? Do we have a lumpy here? Is this making it lumpy?
Probably with that header pipe banging on the frame. Remember, it's tight against the frame.
I don't know.
Down below.
But the motor's not running like it should, so where are we here?
And the other thing, I've got the timing right there.
And where's... I need a screwdriver too. We don't have any power to the choke, so let's get rid of that.
Oh, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I thought I had it.
Here, let me just put my camera over here. Ooh, car. Okay. Let's get rid of this. Something just doesn't sound right at this point. I should have brought my scope with me. That would tell me a few things. No, it's this thing. It's the other way. That's what I thought. Float level's right on this side. What's the inside of that there distributor look like, Jeffy?
I don't know.
Nope, something's not right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's got a dead hole. Like maybe we've got a valve that's being held open.
Suppose I pull rocker arms off and see what's going on.
See if there's something in there. Yeah. Now I'm assuming that before you took it apart, the distributor was running okay. Is that an assumption on my part?
Yeah, I mean, it idled and ran and all that kind of stuff.
Did we drop a spark plug and close a gap?
I don't
think that's what's causing the backfiring, though. Well, you have an early style distributor plate there. So that's the first good sign. Let's see what we got for, that looks good. Yeah, that looks good.
Have much of any advance or centrifugal?
Yeah, let me see your row door. Oh, it's got standard stuff. It's got a lot, actually. No carbon traces. Explain it.
Explain it?
Here, let me.
Well,
let me light you up. Okay, we're lit.
had some things backfiring, and I took my little scope just so that I could get a picture of it. So I went down into the valve cover, and what I was able to do was see this particular adjuster had backed out of the rocker arm. So we have since pulled it out, cleaned it with carburetor cleaner, blue Loctite, struck it 3 places around the perimeter of the top side of the adjuster, and then put it in there with 5/8 preload on the lifter in order to put her back together. So what we're doing now is to chase some other problems we've got. Backfiring through the carburetor, that should be it. Looking at the rest of these adjusters, they look like they're okay and in about the same depth of adjustment. Granted, all the rocker arms, heads, intake, lifters, push rods, all was part of an Edelbrock kit. You know, so one always thinks that, hey, it ought to all be good. Well, you find out sometimes not. Don's Holly that he had on his car and drove it ran fine, so just another way to eliminate a possibility. We're going to put his carburetor on this thing and then see where we go from there. Probably fire it up, see what it sounds like, but if there's any hint of something else going on, we'll have to dislodge the power brake booster and master cylinder so we can pull the other valve cover off and check.
Problems that I found. So the timing was, as soon as you cracked the throttle, the timing was going up past, I don't know, 50 degrees or so, and it was dancing all over the place. So we obviously have some distributor problems we need to address as well in order to get it to idle smoothly.
To be continued.
It's just about time for
Lunch.
Linner.
Yeah.
Or Dunch.
Or Dunch or something anyway.
Whatever you call it. Well, it's another day in paradise.
You betcha. Trying to get valve cover off.
Yep, we got to look for more push rods or adjusters that are backing out.
Just to check. Pulled the oil pressure sensor out that was leaking anyway. Put an oil pressure on it, and at least starting up cold had 55 pounds of oil pressure, so it makes me feel better that it wasn't zero.
I went through the distributor and it's all refurbished and back to normal, so it's ready, except the vacuum dance is bad. We have our suspicions about what we think is wrong, but we're going to reserve judgment
until it's staring us in the faces. Somebody would say, I just can't believe it. But there it is, right there in front of me.
Right.
To pull some
after 2 days worth of
diagnostics, trying to figure out what's going on. Yes, we may be looking a little deeper into this before the day is over.
Woohoo!
Well, after it's 3 hours of pulling the things apart, yes. The first thing we noticed getting down here, you know, the pulley came off, the dampener came off, everything came off looking good. But what we noticed first thing was inside the timing cover. Looks like chain marks coming across there, and then the fuel pump eccentric rubbing inside here. And what we have to remember all the time is the movement we were looking for would affect timing, and that's why we kept going in, and we're figuring that the camshaft was moving. And basically it's free to move back and forth. But when the assembly went in, I assembled it. I assembled the same components that came out of it. But I think what happened is we don't need this piece. Because what happened is the cam retainer sits flush across here, and this was put in there, and basically with the cam retainer up against this surface, there was this much thickness behind it between the camshaft gear, timing gear, and the front of the, what do you call it? Cam retainer plate, there you go.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've unfastened all the rocker arms so that we don't have any spring tension, valve spring tension on the camshaft, so that we could move it and turn it, but it's free to turn now. That was one concern because the camshaft did go in snug, we will say. My brother will say, don't put it in with a hammer, but anyhow, you know, it's in there. And so I think that's our fix. This thing was protruding out, so that also tells us, okay, that the chain was out, rubbed against the timing cover, and its ability to move back and forth depending on torque, valve springs, whatever, that's what would affect timing on the distributor. And as this camshaft moves back and forth, you know, that moves the rotor. In fact, if we were to
do a demo,
pull that out, pull that off, I'll get rid of that. But this much movement, look how much movement, and that's about the thickness of this washer that was in there. So that was the thing, is Dawn was trying to set the timing, and as soon as I changed the RPM a little bit, the timing would go twang. So I think that's it.
Yep.
What we're going to do now is put the timing chain and gears back on, check for end play, because it shouldn't have much more than, you know, a couple thousandths. Make sure it does move, and we can check that a little bit while we're before we have put spring tension back on it. It was nice to find something, because I was fearful of, well, you know, I used the pan to jack the motor up to try and get the motor mounts in and stuff, because I had to buy new ones, and well, it kind of crushed the pan a little bit, you know, and you kind of wonder,
I didn't know anything about this.
yeah, whatever, but I'm his, okay, older brother, and I rely on him and his expertise in all his years of doing this stuff, because had he not been here today, for sure, you know, I'd be pulling this thing apart, and well, those are all the parts that I had, you know. I don't know. Okay, enough of my internet dumbness.
Yeah.
So there we go. We'll put this thing back together.
The biggest difference was, I think, of course we don't have the old gear anymore, but I think the original equipment gear was just machined flat on the end, and that's why that spacer was necessary. And the replacement gear, what is that, Cloy's, you think?
I don't recall.
I don't remember. Anyway, it has the spacer built in.
No, it was the cam was a telephone call.
Now you have a description of what we're doing. Now we just have to clean up, make our checks here to make sure it assembles right, and then we'll clean up and reassemble. But we have to make a run to town and get some lunch and get some gaskets and whatnot, so more noise, it's okay. In the words of Clint Eastwood, that's enough of that. We'll have to leave it right there. We didn't get any further for a lack of parts, and the July 4th holiday coming up, we wouldn't get them for a couple of days anyway. And I have to get my fanny back to Portland to do some honeydews. So thanks for watching Don's Manufactory. I'll catch you later.